Welcome to this episode of Inside the Gym podcast. I'm Chris Gilbert, your host for this episode, and today we're going to be talking about adding supplement shop to your gym. As you know, adding additional revenue sources to your gym can be very vital to the survival and flourishing of your gym. So today, as guests, we have Doug Miller and Marc. What's your last name, Marc?
George.
Marc George, who have both very extensive experience on the supplement side. Marc owns multiple supplement stores. Doug owns multiple supplement brands and multiple supplement stores. So these guys should be a wealth of knowledge on this topic. So to start out with, guys, why should gym owners want to put supplements in their gyms?
That's an easy question. More money. More money in the door, because the people going to the gym are already buying supplements anyways. So if you can provide that extra convenience factor without taking away too much from your core business, I think it's a no-brainer. But there's a lot of things you need to think through before doing it. I know a lot of people don't want to handle inventory, right? Because they're worried about theft. And so we've come up with different ways to manage a lot of those different issues.
Yeah, I would say too that obviously it brings in more people, the revenue, but it brings in new foot traffic to people that are coming into the gym too. I've seen over the years that you're going to get a reciprocal effect from the gym bringing customers to your store, and then also the store giving the gym members. So it's a good way to increase membership, which also is driving profit, and then it's a whole other business too, which also is helping you. So, and like Doug said, most importantly, the customers are already there. They're the people buying the supplements anyway. Why would they go down the street somewhere else when you could give them to them?
Okay, so from your guys' standpoint, you both have like way more experience with this than I do. What products are the most key for people to stock in a gym?
Core Nutritionals, America Labs, Unmatched, Arms Race Nutrition, and Mile Blocks. This is the easy question. No, but seriously, so I think about the store. So my situation's a little bit more complicated because I do own freestanding retails separately that's not on the premises of the gym. The stores that we provide in our gym, we don't actually market outside of the gym membership. So yes, you can find like you can't even find it on Google. You can find Criush It Colosseum on Google, but you can't find Criush It Colosseum Nutrition Corner on Google, for example. So we're not trying to drive new traffic to the gym. What we're trying to do is capture the convenience aspect of people are going to the gym and they would rather buy it right then and there when they forget their pre-workout than drive even 5 miles down the street to our store. So what we've decided to do is, because we do own brands and we're vertically integrated in that sense, we truly only carry our 5 brands in our nutrition corner, except the most important things, which are snacks and drinks, which we find. So if you're looking at, because across our 5 brands, we have, something in every category. We have 300-400 different SKUs. So we can service our clients there in a very easy way. But to answer your question, the most important things, I think, where we make a lot of money and we get a lot of grab and goes are the snacks. So we order, the protein bars, the protein chips, the energy drinks, the RTD pre-workouts, the post-workout protein RTDs. Those are the big ones that, that I would recommend getting outside of, your traditional, powdered supplements. And then just recently, we are bringing in ready-to-eat foods. We're bringing in Icon meals to our location because, again, it's also one of those convenient factors where we know that people are going to right down the street to Chipotle and probably getting something they shouldn't get anyways. So we can service them with another add-on where we can bring additional revenue. So we are adding a fridge to our at least one of our locations as a trial.
So, Marc, what do you guys keep at Unrivaled?
So the Unrivaled store is not open yet.
Okay.
But I can still talk about what we will have. And then Total Athlete Nutrition, which is in Columbia, which is attached to another gym that I don't own, Chiseled, it's the same similar situation and setup. So everything Doug said is spot on. RTDs, energy drinks, bars, all that stuff is number one, the thing that people should have. And even if you don't want a full store, I think anyone can have those products in their stores to sell. It doesn't take a lot of thought to do those things, and that will drive people in. My situation is a little bit uniquely different comparatively to Doug's, because unlike his stores, because he has so many other stores, they don't have their store that's in the gym. Like he said, it's not like outwardly advertised. It's more for the convenience of the members. My one store that I've had for 7 years now, Total Athlete, that's solely there for me to drive people in because it's connected to a gym that's disassociated with it or not owned by me. And then even the Unrivaled Supplement Center that will open here next year with Unrivaled Iron Gym, it will be a standalone store that is accessible to the public, but then also to members as well. So we're getting the convenience factor that Doug mentioned as well, but we also are hoping our goal is to drive in people from the outside to bring them in, to bring members to the gym as well. So it's just a little bit different in that approach. But I think to your question, Chris, the products of what you're going to have are still going to be the same. Those staple products that are convenient, which are the drinks and the bars, are definitely number one. And then I think it's a very good idea of what Doug mentioned as well, of having those meals is going to be that third piece of the puzzle. That when you talk about convenience, people are going to go leave the gym and buy something anyway. So it's either meals, or if you could have a smoothie bar. I don't have one in either of my stores, but I've heard that they can do very well for stores that are in gyms, and people are going to spend $5 to $10 on a smoothie or a meal no matter what.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because when I was thinking of this, I was thinking from this conversation strictly as a gym owner, and then adding those accessory sales inside our gyms. But as you brought it up, it made me think, well, wait a second. I actually do own 2 stores that have smoothie bars that are inside a gym.
Yeah.
That I don't own. So, so in the Greenbrier, Chesapeake area and the Norfolk area, we've actually partnered our retail business with massive gyms, One Life Fitnesses that have, we're talking not like our boutique gyms, Mark, that have, 1,000, 2,000 members, whatever. We're talking these 8,000, 10,000 mega gyms.
Yeah.
So we've done kind of what you have done there, and we've put our location where there's a door that's connected to the gym, but there's also a door from the outside. So it's a little bit different. And in those locations, one of the requirements for us to go in there was to put a smoothie bar, because the gym wanted it as a service, but they didn't want to manage it.
Exactly.
And for us, quite frankly, just speaking, yes, you can make some money at it, but it is kind of a pain in the butt. There is more overhead. There is more labor that you need. So our thing is, sure, we'll sell you a smoothie for $10, an overpriced smoothie. But what we want to do is teach you about supplements that can be a better value to you, so that you're buying your protein tub with 40 servings in it, and you're just packing your shake on the way there. So we'll try to, use the smoothies to really service our clients and get them some better value later on. So the smoothie bars, though, if you really want to push it and you're committed to it, they are a lot of work, but you can definitely make some money. For me, though, part of it is just like, these people paying $10 a smoothie. Like, I know I tell my guys, it's like, show them the value, the economics, especially in today's economy. Like, have them buy a tub of protein. That's going to help them out.
Yeah, and actually get it.
Yeah. So there are a lot of different scenarios here. I think the big underlying theme, though, for these gyms, retail stores, is convenience.
Yes.
Everybody wants it now. Everybody, a lot of, that's why retail is tough right now. Everybody wants to sit at home and click and have it delivered same day from Amazon. So if you have a gym where you're getting hundreds of people coming through there a day, it just makes sense. The key thing is, though, for us, is we've put our stores, we have 24/7 access to our gyms. I believe you do too, Mark.
Yes.
So we have to put our stores only open during staffed hours.
Yeah.
So we lock it. So that's one thing for a gym owner to think about when they're building out their store, is, especially if you're 24/7, you need to be able to lock that inventory.
Correct. And I will say, I don't, maybe you're going to ask this too, but something that I'm doing with the Unrivaled store too, is because we are a 24-hour facility as well. And for us, it's not really like a pro shop type. It's an actual store section. So we can just close the door and lock it. That inventory is easy. But as a 24-hour gym, you're missing out too. So another thing that I would definitely recommend, if they're going to be an owner that has a store connected to their gym, I'm also putting a vending machine inside of the gym that's only turned on when the store is closed. So it actually, you can't access the vending machine when the store is open, and that's because I want people to come into the store because I want the value of the education, like Doug mentioned, because I mean, they do a great job in all their stores of doing the same thing. And the education piece of the supplements is the bigger thing. But so I don't want to lose out on that. But if you have a 24-hour gym, people want to buy things around the clock. So you take those products we talked about in the beginning, the drinks, the bars, the snacks that people are going to buy no matter what, throw them in the vending machine right outside of the door, and then you don't miss out on the 24-hour sales that the customers that come at 3 o'clock in the morning as members, they can still get at least the basics.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So to summarize that part, the powders are great if you have space, but the most essential are the grab and goes, the pre-mixed drinks and the bars and snacks and things like that.
Yes, because I would say, and I'm sure that Doug would probably agree too, that the supplement store business is not overly challenging, but I think in my experience, and I've even learned this from them, to be very successful at it, you have to value the education side of things. So you can't just be a bro that owns a gym and put some protein on the shelf and sell it and think you're going to be successful. Maybe you could. I just don't believe that's the case. I think you have to have the right team and the right people that are able to educate on the products too. So I think, Chris, to your point, people should start with the basics. And then if they want to get to a full-blown retail supplement store, you can do that. But I wouldn't get overzealous with it and just think you're going to have all the pre's and all the proteins and all the post-workouts and all this stuff. And then you sit on all this inventory and you can't sell it because you don't know how necessarily either.
Yeah, that actually brings me to my next question. One, it's kind of a two-part question. One, do you think that a gym owner needs to have a dedicated employee to run the pro shop when it's open or the supplement shop when it's open? Or would you recommend them to have a dedicated employee to run that shop or that store? Or is the front counter person, whoever is like greeting people as they come in, is that enough?
Yeah, I mean, so our stores in our gyms are literally like a size of an office. They're not a full-on retail store. And like I said, there's basically, 8 different tiered shelves. I mean, there's quite a bit of there's probably $15,000 to $20,000 in actually inventory in there. But at the end of the day, you want to keep your overhead down. So having somebody sit in there for the small amount of sales that you're going to get a day, I mean, it doesn't have to be small. It's a very profitable add-on. But then once you also then increase your overhead by adding a full-time staff there, it's just not a good idea. So for us, everyone who's working at our gyms is also knowledgeable in supplements and can certainly take 5 minutes and talk to somebody about the pre-workout choice or the right protein for them. So for us, we are not running our gyms our stores inside of our gyms like that. It's really like most of the time people are going in there, it's out of a convenience. And, for us, we're kind of in that unique situation of owning our brand. So it doesn't really cost us a ton to make sure that it's fully stocked. So it's going to be a balance. It's going to be a balance there. You want to make sure there's protein and pre-workout and the basics there so that if somebody does forget their stuff or wants to grab something quick, they can have it. But you don't have to overthink it here. But you can add, 5 figures in revenue to your gym, which, probably net profit margin for, let's say 40%. I mean, you're looking at an extra $4,000 a month in sales that you wouldn't have otherwise had. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, that's a huge part of rent right there. So, especially if you have a good customer base.
And now I would say just my experience, because it's a little bit different, because it is a full actual store, we have to do it a little bit differently. And so, the overhead is there and I pay employees to be in my store, but again, it's different because especially with Total Athlete, I owned that store before it was even in Chiseled, and I actually picked up the entire store and moved it over to be next to that gym when they opened the gym. So I treat it as the supplement store is my business, and I treat it as a completely separate business that has nothing to do with the gym, but it just so happens to be that it's very conveniently connected to a gym. So with the Unrivaled store now in my gym, it will be the same way. But I don't have the luxury of owning the massive brand of Core and America and all that. So Doug's situation is different, that they can do it through the brand that he's created, which is awesome. I wish that I owned an entire brand too. So we treat it as it's a supplement store that's a business connected to the gym. So we have to have the overhead of the employees and all the stuff.
Yeah, and that's very consistent with our 2 smoothie locations inside those bigger gyms. Is like we do have to run it and staff it up, right? But those are 50,000 plus square foot gyms, and we have 1,000 square feet in those gyms. So,
and that's right. My stores are both 1,000 square feet, so it's a very full blown retail store experience.
Yeah, and then in the gyms we own, our closets, our supplement store closets, where we still make great amount of profit each week. We're talking a 10 by 10 room, a 12 by 12 room, and we can put $15,000 of inventory in there and sell 5 figures a month, and it makes sense. So it really comes down to your situation. But I would say for most of your viewers who are watching this, either from a gym business perspective, and they're not running a supplement store like Marc and I do in the nutrition corners, or your actual stores, you don't need a ton of space. You don't need an actual employee to run them. You just need to be able to service the needs of those people coming in there, and you can make a couple $1,000s a month to help pay your bills. It's a pretty easy. Just get hooked up with a distributor, like a Sport Life or Europa or something like that, and it's really kind of turnkey.
Okay. You both mentioned education. Let's say that I'm a gym owner and I want to start offering supplements in my store, but I want my employees to know about those supplements. Do companies provide education to retail places to help educate them about those supplements? Like, does Core Nutrition offer like education to educate people about their supplements? Like, could I go online and find a video to talk to so my employees would know about your protein powders, or why protein powder is important, or why pre-workout's important, things like that?
Yeah, so for our retail stores, again, I don't want to talk too much about our retail stores because this is about gyms. Our retail stores, we have internal training, right, where we have a whole training system that's set up where they have to follow certain training. For our gym, most of the time, the people working in our gyms are already somewhat connected to our brands in our system. But I will say, from a brand perspective, when we're servicing a gym, if your sales rep is not educating you and talking to you and answering your questions, then they're not doing their job, right? So any brand that you work with, if they're not willing to give you education that you request, then that's a problem. Now, some people are going to have different levels of already knowledge coming into this, so you won't. Some people might not want to hear everything about your pre-workout, what makes it great, and all that stuff, but other people do want to know that. So you should be getting that information. But again, that information is out there, and good brands will provide that information. Again, if you're working with a distributor, you might have to go directly to the brands for that. A lot of times those guys are just order takers, right? So some of that's going to be, doing your own research or making your staff do their research.
Yeah, I was going to say that basically the same thing. And luckily, if you're using a distributor like Muscle Foods or Sport Life or anything like that, you're buying drinks and bars. Luckily, you don't really need a lot of education around an energy drink. And if you're getting supplements from the brands, like Doug said, from my experience, the good brands do have guys and girls that are doing sales that provide education. I mean, I still do it, but when I was newer with their brands, with Core, a perfect example, I used to sit on the phone with Patrick for an hour at a time and talk to him about the brands. And I want to know what's coming, what's new, what's changed, what are the new ingredients. And the brands that care about their products will be excited to talk to store owners, gym owners, whatever about it. Because the more educated you are, the more they're going to sell too, and the better the connection with the brand is. And then you sell more from the brand, and it's all about just creating and fostering that relationship.
And I think that's why, Core Nutritionals, for example, does really well in the gym space, is because, one of the things is we provide that education. And this isn't a commercial for Core, but I think it's something to keep in mind as a gym owner when you're going out there. If you don't want to work directly with the distributor, it's really nice to work with a brand like Core, or I could say NutriBio, who has hundreds of different SKUs, right? So you can go to one brand that is a very reliable, trusted brand that can provide education, but also meet all your needs, and you can go to one place and get it, right? So, because at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do as a gym owner is be a retail supplement owner and calling all these brands and doing individual ordering and keeping up with all that. Yeah. It's really nice to work with, just a handful of brands if you're actually doing direct ordering, where you can usually get, at least as good, but usually better pricing than you can going through a distributor. It's good to have an education brand and a brand that has a lot of different SKUs to meet the needs of your clients.
that was actually going to be my next question was, obviously, Doug, you keep your brands in your stores.
Yeah.
But Mark, how many different brands would you recommend a gym owner keeping? Should they go to one brand? Should they have 2 or 3 or half a dozen? Like if I'm a gym owner and I'm starting a supplement shop from the start, like how many different brands should I even attempt to have in my shop?
I think it's a really good question. I think it kind of depends. First, you have to decide the type of store you want to be. Do you want to be more like a pro shop, like Doug is using the term, like a closet store, like a 10 by 10, or do you want to attempt to be a full retail store? But either way, I would say the approach in the beginning to learn the process of what Doug just mentioned of if you can find one brand, maybe 2, that can cover 95% of your everything you want, a protein, a pre-workout, whatever, I would definitely recommend that because otherwise, you go from being a gym owner that has a store to a retail supplement store owner, and now I'm managing 25 brands and 25 different sales reps and all that inventory, and that's a full-time job. And I mean, I still do it, and I'm trying to get away from it and have other people manage it, but I still do it day to day, and that's a lot. So having one place or one brand that you can go to that you can rely on that can give you all of your SKUs that you need, and maybe you add a few other auxiliary items that have like 1 or 2 energy drinks that you really, really want because they're high sellers. You want bum energy or something like that because it's like the hot thing. Go for that, but don't overcomplicate it because it's really not that complicated. And you just have to have the key things that people want, and getting a full spectrum of all supplements from one place would definitely be easier.
So you guys have both been on the other podcast, and you know that at the end of that podcast, I always ask gym owners for their advice. And it's been so many times that a gym owner has said, start small. Would you guys give the same advice for like a supplement shop? Start small and then add as you feel comfortable? Or do you think someone, as long as they have some experience and maybe just even taking supplements or getting themselves educated, that they could go like right into the closet size 10 by 10 that Doug was talking about versus, or maybe even jump right into the store? Like, what do you think?
I think it really comes down to what your ultimate goal is, you know, at the end of the day, and what type of capital and free cash flow you have.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's important, and I've made this mistake a lot, is that for a gym owner, you need to keep the main thing the main thing. You don't have to be everything to everybody. You just need to stand for something and attract your core niche group of people that are going to pay their dues every month and, you know, tell their friends about your place. Right. And so, and then you can have a very successful and a very profitable gym. I think when you try to be everything to everybody, whether that's on the gym space where you're trying to add Pilates and childcare, but also hardcore powerlifting, right? Like it just doesn't make sense. You really can't. It's very difficult to do that without wasting a lot of money. So I think the same thing, it goes with this supplement store. My personal recommendation is start out small and add a couple things, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be investing all of your money into supplements. You don't want to carry $25,000 worth of supplements in there that expire, right? A new barbell doesn't expire, right? Like I'd rather buy some new gym equipment that's going to get people excited about the location. So I would start out small. I'd carve out, anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, right? You don't need much more than that. And, stock some nice RTDs, and then find one brand to start with, and place an order and get people, sample out a couple products, get people excited about the products. And next thing you know, you're selling a couple $1,000s a month. You're making, $1,000 extra a month. I mean, that's a good start, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you really, like I said, you want to keep the main thing. And I truly believe that. Like I said, I've had to learn the hard way sometimes, that lesson. And so, for this supplement thing, I think it's add-on revenue and profit that you definitely need and want, but you don't want it to become your focus, in my opinion. So I would start out small.
Yeah. And I definitely agree. I have to take off my hat of supplement store retail owner first and think about it as Mark, the gym owner. Definitely start small. I think I'm building out a 1,100 square foot store for Unrivaled, but it's because I've already done it for 7 years and I know how to do it. And to me, it's easy. But as a gym owner being brand new, definitely start small, because for all of the reasons Doug mentioned, it doesn't make any sense to do it. And something I will say too is don't you have to recognize you're starting small and don't try to be a full store. You don't need every flavor of the pre-workout and every flavor. I mean, Core has, I don't know, probably 15 to 20 flavors in protein. You don't need all the flavors. You don't need the specialty flavors. Stick to the basics, chocolate, vanilla, cookies and cream, whatever, and just keep it simple. And then it will, like Doug said, it will grow over time. And if people are like, oh, you don't have Rainbow Fudge pre-workout, then sorry, we don't have it this month. It's okay. They'll live. The fact that you have pre-workout in general or whatever the supplements are, they'll appreciate that and they'll get accustomed to buying it, and then it'll just grow over time.
Yeah, I agree.
So then, as far as like going to pick, like you recommended, Doug, necessarily, obviously working with Core, one of your brands, on a completely non-selfish manner. But if I'm a gym owner and this is something I'm going to do you guys have a recommendation on like, how do I even like decide this is a supplement company that I want to work with?
I think it comes down to people that you trust. First off, it's all comes down to relationships, right? Like, and of course you got to like the product, and it has to be a good quality product, but that part of that is that relationship thing there. So for us, like looking at it, and again, completely biased for full transparency here, something like Core would be great because we do have 200 different SKUs. And no matter what you want, whether you want a high stem or a low stem pre-workout, we have it. Whether you want a high calorie protein or a low calorie protein, we have it. It's very easy and we're very transparent with all of that. But there's other brands out there, like look at NutraBio. They're their own manufacturer. They have 200 some SKUs, even Raw these days, right? Like I feel like they have a SKU in every category. I'm just trying to think, some brands, they might have the popular pre-workout, but they don't have the full line, right?
Yeah.
And so, a big part of a decent size of our customers for Core, there's a lot of personal training and gym studios that we sell to where we are the only brand that they carry in their store because it's easy, because they don't want to manage a supplement store. They want to provide supplements, make some money on the as an add-on, but they don't want to be supplement store owners. So it's very easy for them. So I would say find a brand that you trust that has a wide range of SKUs that could really service all the needs of your clients. That's the easiest way to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because it's about the relationship. And it's also, like Doug mentioned, as the owner, the person that's going to be someone that's primarily promoting this stuff, you have to, unless you want to just be a sleazy salesman, like you have to believe in the brand yourself. You should be taking the products because that alone will sell the products. Even if people see you, if you're the owner of the gym or the store, whatever, and you are in decent shape, at least people are going to ask you, hey, what do you take? And if they see what you're taking, a lot of the times, for better or for worse, they will blindly buy what you say that you're taking just for the sheer fact that you're taking it because they want to emulate the same things you're doing. So I will not, I have said this my entire time owning the store, and I mean it. I will never put a brand in my store that I don't believe in, that I wouldn't take myself, because I don't feel comfortable selling it to people. And I think that as the gym owner, you have to at least be okay with the brand and, again, have the relationship with the person, whether it's the owner of the company or the person selling the product.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So to kind of summarize where we are, and anyone who's owning it, a locally owned gym, Doug called it a boutique gym, that wants to put in a supplement store, definitely start small. Definitely start with grab and goes like pre-made drinks and snacks. And then as you want to grow that, start with one like supplement brand that you can get all the SKUs that you want to get from that brand, and a brand that's going to offer you education and be supportive to you and give you everything that you need, and a brand that you would personally take, and a brand that you should take because people are going to ask you what you're taking. Did I miss anything on the summarization?
No, I think that sounds right. And I just thought of one more brand. And again, I'm only saying this just so I don't sound like a salesman here, but like First Form is another brand that I've seen some gyms only carry First Form because they have, it checks all those boxes. They have something for everybody in their brand. They're providing education and it's a good quality, right? So like that's another example of the, in addition to the other three that I mentioned. So yeah, I think you hit that spot on.
Okay. Is there anything else that you guys would recommend, or anything else that we should like tell gym owners before they get started in this, or that they should know?
I think I think the first step, in addition to finding that one or two brands that you can work directly with, that you can build a really good relationship with, I think making sure you get signed up with one or two of the big distributors. So you're looking at Sport Life, Europa, Muscle Foods. They're the ones where you're going to be buying your drinks and your snacks from, right? So that's the other key point. So really, to do it well, you could basically talk to two people, your distribution rep and your brand rep, and you pretty much can get everything, like have a really good, well-stocked store with a wide range of things that will cover, getting started. And you only have to talk to two people, which at the end of the day, you want to be focused on, growing your gym membership, right? Over just selling the supplements. So I think setting up that distribution account, which is super easy to do. You can even reach out to me and I'll hook you up with a rep, at one of those places to talk to. It's super easy. And then you just call them, hey, I want Ghost Energy. Hey, I want CBum Energy, right? Like whatever. It's super easy.
Did you have anything else, Mark?
No, I mean, because I think that's a really great point. And again, we keep saying the same thing of not overcomplicating it, keeping it simple. If you have the one brand rep, the one distribution company that you're working with, because most of them there's a lot of overlap. They all carry about 90% of the same things. And then if you want to start to venture out, let's say you do it for the first 6 months or a year, and you want to start to add a few more brands, you can get 1 and 2 of this brand from the distributors have the brands too. So you can start to trickle in some other brands along the way. And then if that brand does well for you, you can reach out directly to the brand, bring in more. Or if it didn't work out well, you're not sitting on $5,000, $10,000 of inventory. You cut your losses with the few things you ordered and you move on from it. So working with a distributor helps you to kind of preview some brands in your store and not kind of overindulge and then get in too deep with anything.
Right. Yeah, I think you touched on it a little bit, Doug. As far as we talked a little bit about inventory and you gave some recommendations about money, and you gave some overarching like expectations of what people could expect from a monthly profit on a small little supplement store. But if somebody were going to like order directly from a distributor or directly from a company, like I'm assuming that there are discounts versus what they're going to retail it for. Is there a range or is there a general like?
Yeah, I mean, so for snacks and bars, and I'm going to speak relatively low volume, normal pricing, snacks and bars, drinks and stuff like that. You're looking at like you're going to make 30 to 40 or 30 to 35%, 30 to 40%, depending on if you buy it on a deal. When you're buying low volume, snacks, like don't expect to make a fortune. You're going to make 30%, right? Yeah. So like if you want to buy our brands from a distributor, for example, it's 40%, it's 40% off. And we try to do that direct as well. So like you should be making at least 40% off on your powders and stuff like that as well. So, and sometimes you'll get better. Sometimes there's deals at a distributor. So like across the board, expect you're going to make a 40% margin in your store, something like that ish, right? Plus or minus 5% or so. It just depends on what your mix is. And I think that's a good area, to be, if you have 1,000 member gym, if you're not selling $10,000 a month in product, then you're probably doing something wrong. But, $10,000 a month in product, that's an extra $4,000 in your pocket for doing really nothing, right? You're just providing that inventory there, that convenience factor to those people that are going to buy it anyways. So, if you have a gym about that size, it's kind of a no-brainer to have a small area where, that can cover a lot of your rent for an extra $4,000 a month.
Yeah, depending on the size.
Employee or something, right? Like, it's huge and it's not a ton of extra work.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. I didn't have any other questions. I think that we covered it pretty well. And I think that was, I appreciate both of you. I think that was some pretty good information that hopefully will help a gym owner who's thinking about adding a supplement store to their gym. So if you guys had anything else, if not, then thank you.
Sure. I think I'm good. I think we covered it all.
Yeah, no, I think we did a good job of covering everything. And it's like Doug has been saying, it's a very good thing to add on. It can make a big difference in the overall sales and revenue of the gym. And it's easy enough to do that it won't, break the bank at any means as long as you start small.
Yeah, just keep it simple.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more great content.